Good afternoon, everybody, and happy Sunday to you. We have taken a little bit of a break. You may notice that if you're a regular viewer, we probably only put out one or maybe two videos in the last week, and that was kind of by design. See, we finished the 40-day Homestead Challenge, and it was a success. We felt really good about how things turned out. We learned a lot in doing that. We learned a lot about ourselves, we learned a lot about creating videos, we learned a lot about growing a garden. And as we said in that final video from the 40-day Homestead Challenge, we wanted to keep going, and we have. But we also wanted to take a little bit of a break. You see, creating these, talking to you, sharing with you the things that we're doing, it's a lot of work. And we needed to make sure that we were paying attention to what's important, like our family and our home, and then making sure that we're doing videos. So we think we got a good balance, and we're making a little bit of a change. Starting this week, we're going to change our publishing schedule. So instead of doing something every single day, mainly because it's really labor intensive and, well, we've got 5 kids and I have a consulting practice I need to pay attention to, and Melinda has a house to run, so there's a lot of different things that are going on. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to publish 3 times a week. We'll publish something on Monday and Wednesday and Friday. That's our goal for right now. Now, we'll, like always, reserve the right to change that. We may go back to full every day of the week except for Sunday. We might drop it down lower than that. We'll see. But right now, we're trying to find the right balance, because the main thing is we want to be able to bring you some of the really cool things that we're doing. Like the garden, of course, but as we mentioned in our final video with the 40-day Homestead Challenge, there's a number of other things, other stories that we want to tell. So we want to be able to bring those to you as well. So thanks for sticking with us, and of course if this is your first time here, welcome, we're glad to have you. And just as a quick reminder, we are just a couple of suburbanites that moved out into the country a few years ago, and we wanted to try our hand at things like raising chickens and creating and growing a garden, what generally we call the modern homestead way of life. So that's what our story is all about, and we're going to tell you the next phase of that story starting today. But before we get on to today's activity, I want to give you a quick update on something that we had talked about before. You may remember that we had put out some Japanese beetle traps because our apple trees, well, they were just getting eaten alive by Japanese beetles. We had this happen last year, and they decimated it. All of the leaves were gone. Well, I'm pleased to say we've had some success. In fact, we had so much success that our Japanese beetle trap bag is weighed down by all of the Japanese beetles that we were able to catch. So this is good. So the bag is full, and we've caught a lot of those Japanese beetles, which is good because that means that they can't do any more damage. But the real proof is in the pudding here with the tree. As you can see, some of the tree's leaves are brown, but not all of them are brown. As a matter of fact, there's still a lot of good, healthy growth down here. And that's good to see, because last year we didn't have that at all. This entire tree, gone. All of its leaves, brown, dead, just looked awful. Unfortunately, the news is not all good, because there's some Japanese beetles. I suppose there's really nothing you can do that will completely get rid of all of them, so we're gonna have to do this. We'll send them on their way. Maybe they'll make their way into the bag. Now the next thing I've got to do is actually have to change the bag. I've got a different bag that I can put on there. We can move the bait over, lure more into it. Hopefully we can catch them, and that'll just keep all of these guys at bay. We definitely don't want to have a lot of Japanese beetles out here. As a matter of fact, I feel really good about our other 2 apple trees. They really never have any of the Japanese beetles on them at all. So they're looking really good, but this guy is the one that's most mature. We want to protect him and make sure that those leaves stay nice and green so that they can collect as much sunlight as possible to make that tree nice and healthy. One other thing to show you really quickly is how well our sunflowers are doing. In fact, I was just out here looking at them and noticed right here, we have our very first sunflower bloom head that is starting to show up. So hopefully in just a matter of days, we're gonna actually have sunflowers that are blooming right here alongside our driveway. That's pretty cool. So that's just a couple of quick updates. There have been other things obviously going on around here, but I wanna talk about one thing in particular today, and it's something that I noticed here recently with taking care of our garden. It has to do with the amazing design of corn stalks. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Recently we went through a little bit of a dry spell where I was needing to water the things in the garden almost every single day just to make sure that they were continuing to grow and were looking healthy. And I was watering this corn and I noticed something that I really never noticed before. And maybe you have, maybe I'm just like the last person to ever see this and figure this out, but there is an amazing design process to corn that helps it grow. Let me show you a little bit closer of what I'm talking about. When I was watering that corn, I noticed that these leaves, these very big, broad, wide leaves, they played a very specific function. Their job is to collect water and to funnel it toward the stalk of the plant. But that's not all. When the water gets into the stalk of the plant funnels the water straight down to the ground where the base of the stalk is. Now you might say, hey, big deal. I mean, the water's got to go somewhere, right? Well, that's true, but here's the thing that's the kicker. The root ball of a corn stalk is only about that big, and it's all right there at the base of that plant. In God's amazing design for corn, He set it so that these leaves were big enough so that they would collect the water, they would funnel it down the stalk and directly to where the root ball is, thereby maximizing every single bit of water that falls on this corn. Okay, so why am I making a big deal out of this? I mean, it's water falling on a plant and it's helping it to grow. Isn't that what it's supposed to do? Exactly. But here's the thing, I didn't create that. And that corn plant didn't say, it probably would be better if I were to just structure myself this way so that the water would fall here and give me the water where I need it. No, there had to have been someone, and my personal belief is that that's God, that said, let's create this corn plant so that it does just this. That's an amazing design. It is the most efficient use of that water that falls on it that you possibly could have. And when you're running a homestead of any size, even a small one like this, you want to be as efficient with your time as possible. So when I saw that, I was just simply captivated. I was watching that and I kept watering it over and over again. Maybe I gave them too much water, I don't know. But I kept watering it over and over again because I wanted to see that water just funnel exactly where it was supposed to go. So the end result here is that we get really healthy corn stalks. As a matter of fact, and I guess it's just nice and gratifying because they're green and they're tall and it looks like they're really starting to produce something, but it's encouraging to see them grow. And I think it's because they've got that really efficient use of collecting water and using it in some way. There's a lot of work that goes into planting a garden, into raising chickens, if you've got other livestock, into caring and tending for them as well. But there's only so much that I can actually do. We have to work with nature. We have to work with the way things that God has constructed it. I've talked to you about this plot of land before. It wasn't very healthy. We're working to try to get it healthier, but we're using natural things the way God created this system to make that happen. And part of that is putting down mulch, part of that is letting the chickens tend and scratch this area, but we're working with what God has provided to us. It's really cool. Oh, and before we wrap this up, one more thing I noticed really quickly. On a few of our corn plants, we've got the tassels just starting to pop out. So it won't be long before hopefully we'll actually see some of the corn shucks on these plants. That'll be really encouraging. We're looking forward to seeing that. Another critical step in that entire process is using something that's not natural, which is cardboard. And we've talked to you before about how we're using this as a weed block. Well, we just got a shipment, something that arrived this weekend, and we've got these cardboard boxes. There's actually one more that's inside of this one. We're storing all of our cardboard boxes up here in the tobacco barn. And the reason we're doing that is pretty soon we're gonna have a need where we've got to spread these out, make a nice little weed block, but then also you wet down the cardboard and it just breaks down. So it's a good, almost natural way to be able to block the weeds in gardens and other areas. One last cool thing that I wanted to reconnect on, when I opened up the barn door, it reminded me that we still have our reel mower, and on Thursday of last week, the lapping compound and the turning tool arrived. That's what's going to allow us to try to sharpen this reel mower. So I'm going to give that a try here. Hopefully this week we'll be able to see if we can sharpen it up at all, and if so, we're going to see if we can put it to work out here trying to cut some of the grass. Well, that's it out here for today. You know, if you've watched us at all, that Sunday's mostly a non-working day. We just had a few things we needed to catch up on out here. Got to go and collect a few eggs in just a minute. We're going to take those inside. It's getting a little late in the day, so we're going to go ahead and start preparing dinner and then hopefully get ready for a good week. Thanks again for joining us. We're always glad to have you here. Of course, if you have questions, or even sometimes if you just have a comment and you just want to say, hey, that was pretty interesting, we would love to hear from you. So no matter whether you're watching us on Facebook or if you're watching us on YouTube, let us know. Use the comment section down below and we'll get right back to you. So thanks again for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.